Hi hand readers, my name's Jennifer. I'm a long-time practitioner and teacher of all matters to do with hand reading. I'm based in Johannesburg, and today's topic is double-jointed thumbs as well as hyper-flexive lower joints, which kind of can't really be extricated from the topic of double-jointed thumbs. In last week's video, I spoke about the angle of dexterity, which is when the metacarpal phalangeal joint at the base of the thumb juts out significantly. Now, when it comes to hypermobility, which is the, I suppose, anatomical term for a double-jointed thumb, we have some extreme flexibility and looseness of the tendons in this particular joint, which is when a person can pull the thumb back in various ways and make rather bizarre-looking movements with their thumbs. But before I get into a few meanings for what a very mobile and double-jointed thumb might be, I want to talk a little bit just about the hyper-flexive lower joint. In other words, when the angle of dexterity caves in, it goes concave. We make a distinction between hypermobile lower joints of the thumb and hyperflexive lower joints of the thumb. And it's the hyperflexive lower joints that are very common, especially in the elderly. And this condition occurs very much with arthritic conditions as well as other debilitating illnesses. It's basically, as I said, when this goes concave, there's a sort of a weakening. And it's very difficult to take a handprint of someone who has this very concave metacarpal phalangeal joint. It's often a sign of a person who feels a little bit resigned in life, almost victimized. Life has done this to me, can't take real responsibility. And it opens a conversation with the person for all sorts of topics linked to perhaps self-pity, to feeling depressed, to feeling inadequate in some way in life. That is where the conversation would go in terms of how to support the person or how to support them to support themselves. But now let's talk about the actual topic for today, which is the hypermobility of the metacarpal phalangeal joint of the thumb and what that might mean. And for this inquiry, we use the 5-element system because flexibility and mobility are water characteristics. Hypermobility of joints, whether it's thumbs or any other part of the body, is linked to water excess. And if we look at what water exhibits in nature, at its principles and characteristics, and let's just choose 5. Let's choose receptivity, sensitivity, malleability, flexibility, of course, that's going to have to be a very key one, and cohesion or merging. Merging is a very strong principle of the water element. And then we can start superimposing some of those traits, or rather characteristics, onto the person and evolve their traits from those principles. A person who's receptive will, for example, not do very well with confrontation. So I would suggest that that's a very strong meaning for a person with a double-jointed thumb. They don't like any kind of argumentativeness. Malleability, water does malleability very well. It's very adaptable. So therefore, a person with double-jointed thumbs would be a little bit more adaptable than a person with, for example, very stiff thumbs. Flexibility could talk to us about resilience in a person, interestingly. It's about adaptation again. It's an ability to go with the flow, but it's also molding to circumstances. So adaptability to change, the ability to fit into any given situation. That would be another pretty accurate meaning for double-jointed thumbed people. With regards to merging and cohesion, this is a signal in a person who loves their friends and who likes to feel connected to the people around them. Even in the work environment, they would really need to perhaps really be supported by a group of friends, a group of colleagues. These are not people who work very well alone. I would suggest people with double-jointed thumbs are more tribe-orientated, especially if they've got loop fingertip dermatoglyphics, which is another topic I'll get to eventually, also related to thumbs. When it comes to the sensitivity and the combination of that with the general malleability, we have to ask the question of the double-jointed thumbed person, are they cooperative or are they compliant? Is this now a sign of, again, I've used this before, but being a bit of a marshmallow? In other words, used, abused, spat on, sat on by the people around them. So there might be some part of that person who would like to assert themselves more authoritatively, but lacks the ability to do so. Another meaning which might not directly relate to any of the 5 keywords I've offered, but that is a lot of generosity. There's a tendency to be quite extravagant with money. And the person might be very impulsive actually with money. So they don't have the short arms, long pockets syndrome. Overall, I'd say people with double-jointed thumbs are easygoing, friendly, love their friends, cooperative people. Today's video is already number 11 in my presentation of mini tutorials about thumbs. In next week's video, I'll be talking about the rotation of the thumb on its axis. That is to say, does the pad face forward or does it turn and face to the adjoining finger, to the index finger? Please click the subscribe button and like this video. Share with your friends if you feel they'd be interested. I'll see you next week.